According to sources, the Chicago Bulls and Josh Giddey are getting closer and closer to a resolution on the contract, which is going to leave Josh Giddey to make a tough decision on taking the Bulls' best offer or taking the qualifying offer. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, we're going to talk about the Chicago Bulls preseason schedule and where Noah Essengue has already really shown the Chicago Bulls how he can help that team. We're talking about all that, plus Yuki Kawamura and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Derek Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content today, y'all. And this will come out from multiple sources over the course of yesterday. I actually thought with me, being out yesterday, that was going to finally be the day that maybe we get something announced with some of the things that came out. But Casey Johnson talked about it. Also, we got reports on it from ESPN and Jamal Collier as well. And that the Bulls and Josh Giddey have sat down and had some really positive discussions and have made some headway on the next contract. And now multiple sources are expecting that the two sides are going to agree on a deal sooner rather than later, saying this: the standoff between Giddy and the Bulls continues into another week as the market for the restricted free agent remains cold. Giddy was present in Las Vegas and had lunch with Bulls coach Billy Donovan, sources told ESPN. And Bulls executives were scheduled to meet with Giddy's agent during the week. From Jamal Collier, multiple sources expect Giddy and the Bulls to eventually come to a contract agreement, and the two sides have had some positive discussions. Casey Johnson followed this up on his Fast Break show over on CHSN as well later on into the evening. So it seems like we're going to get a resolution to this here maybe as soon as this week. If the Bulls and Josh Giddey are planning on having a sit-down meeting this week, I would expect that a lot of things are going to kind of be decided over in that meeting. And, that's where the teams are going to decide. They're going to probably put their best offer on the table, which then Josh Giddey is going to have to make a decision. Is the Bulls' best offer what he's willing to take, or is it going to be the qualifying offer? More than likely, it is going to be he's going to take the Bulls' best offer. Now, I know, we have our Josh Giddey fans in here that say, well, Josh Giddey's going to bet on himself. He's always going to bet on himself. And I get that thought process, right? But you got to think about it this way. And I've said this before on shows, is that if the Bulls are offering, let's say, 25, 26 million, right, over 5 years, as if it's over the full 5, if it's more like 3, okay, cool. Are you willing to miss out on, what would then be if let's say the difference is 3.5-ish million? Are you willing to miss out on that? Like to go and take the 1-year qualifying offer? And like I like to say in these situations, there's always more ways that taking the qualifying offer could hurt you in the long run than it can help you in the long run. Of course, there is that chance if Josh Giddey comes out and plays like he did at the end of last season, where he was averaging 20, 10, and 9. You do that over the course of a full season, yeah, every team with the cap space is going to be knocking down the door to get on you, right? But if for some reason the season starts off slow, for some reason you get hurt, for some reason you don't look as good, and keep in mind, Giddey still has that cloud, no matter how you think about it or not, over his head of how his last playoffs ended with the OKC Thunder, even though, I like to go into the reality of that. Like, he played much better in the series right before that when the team was employing kind of the same strategy. But regardless, if that happens to you again, or something even worse than that, your value is going to be tanked. The market's cold right now, right? So I think those are things that play into this whole entire situation. And, it just is what it is when it comes down to it. Josh Giddey's probably going to end up taking the best offer. And for the Bulls fans that have been wanting and saying, well, the Bulls should negotiate, they shouldn't just give him the $30 million right away, the Bulls did that. So now when Josh Giddey ends up signing for 25, 26-ish million as the annual average value, what maybe some incentives are in that. Maybe it's a shorter 2+1 type deal, right? Those type of things exist out there. And so that's going to be the more interesting part in this to watch for me, is that how this deal is ended up structured, not only with the money, but also with the years. I think it's going to kind of tell us, we're going to be able to pull out a lot from that on exactly maybe what the difference was in the negotiations when we start hearing some of that. So listen, I'm glad that they're getting towards a resolution. I think that's the best for the team. I think that is best for Josh Giddey. And, Josh Giddey's 22 years old. If he does take a 3-year over a 5-year deal, guess what? That means that he's going to get back on the market on 25, 26 years old. And that then, if you perform over those 3 years, Josh Giddey and his agent the power dynamic's going to switch then. If Josh Giddey plays well over three straight years in the Chicago Bulls uniform after signing this contract, and you go back in your prime and you're up for a new deal, now that power dynamic switches. And now, whereas maybe the Bulls held the cards in this round of negotiations, it could be Josh Giddey and his agent that hold it in the next negotiations. That's why that if it's not the full 5, it's going to be, and even if it is, let's say it is the full 5 years, Josh Giddey's 27 then. 27. Going into the free agent market is still young. That's still in the midst of your prime, and you're still going to hold a bit of control there too. So those things all play a part. I think people forget too, there was a little bit of this in Joakim Noah's contract extension. I think his last contract with the Bulls, there's a little bit of back and forth in that as well, and people kind of forget that, right? Now, I don't think that it went this long, but there was that little bit of turmoil in there as well. Now, the different front office, completely different player. But, it's just to say that we've seen these situations before, and they end up working out fine. I don't think there's going to be any animosity about it after the fact, or Josh Giddey and the relationship between the Bulls are going to be completely sullied after this or anything like that. I think, this is both sides negotiating as they should. It's a business negotiation. It's a pretty big negotiation on top of that. Like, that's why the whole thing of trading for a player with 1 year left on their deal and it being a young player like this, it always has its own share of risk, right? So, we'll see what ends up happening, but it sounds like we're going to get a resolution on that sooner rather than later. And let's see how that's going to shake out for the Bulls and for Josh Giddey long term. Now, with one player in Josh Giddey who, we want to see what he's going to bring next year, see how he can play into it. Noah Essengue, his last 2 Summer League games, right? And this is a little bit that I wanted to dive into yesterday, but, I wanted to wait till before the Summer League game, is that, there have been a lot of rookies that have had really solid summer leagues, right? You look at Juan Berenger, the 17th overall pick to the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had 7 blocks in his debut. In the summer league, which led a lot of Bulls fans to say, "Oh my God, we should have maybe taken that guy." Even though about the week before the draft, I told y'all Juan Berenger was going to be good. But you look at the Portland Trailblazers and Yang Hansen, right, at 16th overall as well, and how he's now getting comparisons to Jokic. Noah Essengue, and shout out to SportsCenter who like to make fun of Noah with that picture from the dunk. Blockers get dunked on. It is what it is. I'm not going to be worried about that too much. And while he struggled in his first game, right, he had more turnovers. He had 7 turnovers than points. We had 5 points. And, he looked more passive. He looked raw, and he only took 10 shots and, 2 free throw attempts in 24 minutes. But when you look at how he's really flipped the script since those 2 games, and the thing that I love about like players like Noah, players like Modest who say things afterwards and don't shy away from it, he talked about, he said, I need to be better in everything. And, the need to be more aggressive. And he's come out there and did that, right? He had a double-double with 12 points and 10 rebounds in less than 19 minutes in the second game. I think that's the thing, too. When you look at his per-minute production over that, and again, that's not going to translate to the NBA 1-for-1, but it does show you a player that realized, okay, let me get active, right? 12 points, 10 rebounds in 19 minutes, double-double. Then you look at against the Pacers, 21 points, turning the ball over 1 time. He went 7 of 14 from the field, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, and he was aggressive, looking for a shot, looking for mismatches, using his length on the boards to kind of balance some things out, right? He scored 11 of his 21 points in just the first quarter and went 4 of 6 from the field. And he even hit a fadeaway in that, which I posted was like, oh, the Dirk fadeaway. It wasn't really a Dirk fadeaway, but it is what it is there, right? He got to the line. He's knocked down his free throws, and that's really good. He's 1 or 2 from beyond the arc as well. And I think when you look at it, right, the things that I'm looking at that can translate for Noah Essengue is A, the activity, and in being active, that could put you to the free throw line. The fact that he shot really well from the free throw line is something that's really encouraging for me, because that's overall how I look at Summer League. No, I do not take Summer League as this huge thing to get too high or too low on, right? But I do look on, okay, where are some of the things that you're effective in, and how does that translate for you specifically if you're getting NBA minutes? The defense, we always know that Noah Essenge's defense, the weak side defense, the rim protection, those are going to be things you're looking at for him first, right? You're going to be looking at those things to work out for him first. And that's perfectly fine. Those are things that have looked pretty well for him. His defensive rotations have been pretty good. You like that. But then on the offensive side of the ball, with Noah not yet being able to create his own shot, I look at, all right, when you're around the rim, how active can you be? Because you're going to get opportunities on putbacks and rebounds. That's where we need you to be effective at. The lob threat thing, he has the length to do that, which is not a problem at all. So I'm then looking at now, okay, if you're going to be this player that is going to thrive in transition, being active, blocks, and putbacks. Those are the four things that I want to see Noah Essengue do whenever he gets minutes his rookie year, right? Focus on rebounding and putbacks. When you're on offensive rebounding, crash those boards, get to the free throw line, because the activity, especially as a big man, that's going to get you to the free throw line. You're going to have a lot of opportunities to do that. How do you run in transition? Those are the things that I'm really looking at. Playing the passing lanes also could be something that's really big depending on where we play him at also. And I think those are the things I'm looking for the most. And Noah has been really solid in those areas. That's areas of the game. And the reason why I look at that is because we know Billy Donovan doesn't run offense for young players. He doesn't. If you get opportunities, it's going to come off open shots. It's going to come off your activity. It's going to come in transition. And I think that Noah Essengue can really impact the game in those areas. I'm not expecting him to get a double-double. If he does, great. But I am expecting him and his activity to help put pressure on defenses, because now if you have that young, linky forward, and even if he's not backing you down because he doesn't have the strength right now, at a little over 200 pounds, Summer League had him listed as 194. He's actually 204. So there you go on that one. I'm glad to see that. But at being a little over 200 pounds, I think that you're not going to be backing players down quite yet, right? But what you can do is you can make their activity keep pressure on the defense. And I think those are areas that Noah Essengue is really already showing that he has a lane to help the Chicago Bulls in. I'm not saying that he's going to come in and like I said, right away get a double-double, but I think it's not out of the question that Noah Essengue can average like 6 and 6 his rookie year, 8 and 6 his rookie year, just thriving off transition, putbacks, and getting to the free throw line. I really think that he can do that. And maybe depending on how many minutes he plays towards the end of the season, because I do think, much like Modest Buzelis, you're going to see the minutes increase over time for him. He is a very raw prospect. But I think in watching this, like, he's raw, but he's not like Dalen Terry raw in the sense that he may not play at all. It may just be the thing where he's gonna have to show Billy that he can trust him. And also the foul rate, right? When you look at a young big man who's probably gonna play either small forward, power forward, whatever it is that, he doesn't foul a lot. And he's really intentional with how he uses his hands, especially in the passing lane. Now, again, the level of competition in some leagues a lot different. He's going to be facing off against much bigger bodies there in the NBA. Maybe that foul rate goes up some, but if he can avoid fouling, I do think there's a lane for Noah Essengue to get some minutes on this team. And I think that's the thing that you're really coming out of Summer League for. Training camp is going to be really important for him also. How he's locked in training camp is going to be really, really important for him, because if he comes into training camp and shows, hey, no, I got something here, and defensively, rebounding wise, shot blocking wise, I think Billy Donovan will get him in the game. I'm not saying a whole lot. Don't be surprised if we, much like Modest at the beginning of the season, we see those 9-minute, 10-minute games and we're like, hey, what is Billy Donovan doing? But I do think there's going to be progression focus there, and I don't necessarily think that's going to be bad for Noah Essengue. So starting to see how Noah can definitely help the Chicago Bulls, and that's good, because if you're coming from a situation where when he was drafted, it's like he's raw, he's going to spend a lot of time in the G League, which still may be the thing at the beginning of it. Keep in mind, Modest played some games in the G League and quickly thereafter showed, hey, I'm better than this level of competition. Then they started getting him, and so I think he's going to see a similar trajectory. I think Modest's trajectory is going to be very similar to Noah Essengue's. The thing that could get Noah kind of more looks is the defensive aspect, but we'll see. Let me know what you guys think down below. When you look at Noah's game and hearing the numbers, how effective he's been, and some of the things that do translate to effectiveness in the NBA for a young player, how do you see it? Have you kind of turned some as well on thinking that maybe there's going to be more minutes here for Noah than initially thought? Let me know that down below. The Bulls' full preseason schedule got announced, and that means we're getting closer and closer. And the preseason schedule, there's going to be a lot. Now, preseason is preseason. Not everybody's starters are going to play a lot of minutes. But when you look at this preseason schedule, we're facing off against teams that are all gunning for the playoffs. 2 games against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We start off our preseason at a home and home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. October 7th against Cleveland in Cleveland. October 9th against Cleveland in Chicago. Those are a team that we already know has championship aspirations, especially with, what's happened in the Eastern Conference. Then we have a game against Milwaukee at home in Chicago, October 12th at 6 p.m. Central Time. Then we face off against the Denver Nuggets October 14th in Denver. And then we finish again at home against Minnesota on October 16th. 2 games against Cleveland, 1 against Milwaukee, 1 against Denver, 1 against Minnesota. This is about as a tough a preseason schedule as you can get. Now, preseason is preseason. Not everybody's going to be putting their all in the preseason, playing their starters a whole bunch of minutes. We'll see how the Bulls manage preseason. But I do think for a young developing squad, 84 days until Chicago Bulls basketball is back on the court. And this is a pretty tough schedule when it comes down to it. I think when you look at the front courts that we're going to be facing off against, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Miles Turner, really solid front court when you come down to that one. You look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards is going to be on that team, of course. But Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, another really tough front court. Of course, the Cleveland Cavaliers got Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. That's a tough front court, right? Denver got Nikola Jokic, Cam Johnson, who they just signed into that as well. Aaron Gordon, of course, Jamal Murray's on that team. This is a nice preseason schedule where I think we're going to get to see, our guards. We're going to get to see our forwards. We're going to get to see a lot. So, this is fun. We don't have the full schedule release yet, but now we do have our group in the NBA Cup group. We have our preseason games. Bulls basketball is right back around the corner, and I can't wait to see how it is. But hey, the Bulls basketball, man, the preseason schedule is going to be tough. Now, I do want to end the season. In this episode, talking about Yuki Kawamura. This is a guy that coming into the summer league had a lot of cachet around his name, right? As far as what, the excitement from him. He's averaging 5.7 assists in 22.9 minutes per game for the Chicago Bulls Summer League team. And the thing that I said in this, and I said it after last Summer League game, we'll talk about it after today's game as well, is that for Yuki, to me, he's done more than enough to prove that he should be on the Bulls G League team. And I think a two-way contract. I think that he should be taking Jameer Young's two-way contract, for example. You look at what he's done so far in this, right? And, Modest Buzelis averaging 22 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1.5 blocks as well, which Modest Buzelis is great, but his summer league's probably shut down now. But you look at Yuki Kawamura and what he's done. He had a double-double and 15 points, 10 assists in that as well. And he initiated so much of the Bulls' offense in that time. And what I'm looking at Yuki for, and I know Yuki has his fan base. I've seen the comments, well, he's better than Javon Carter. And it's like, yeah, but Javon's on a guaranteed deal. So there you go on that one, right? I understand what people are saying in there. But being at 5'8" point guard, who's shown that he can absolutely set up your offense. The reason why I think Yuki Kawamura could be so important for this Bulls team, is in the G League team specifically, is that when you're talking about the G League, you're talking about developing players to be on, hopefully to eventually make your squad. Yuki Kawamura and his playmaking ability, his ability to run an offense and hit shots is something to me that shows, hey, I can help develop players. Regardless of what you think about his size, regardless of what you think about his scoring ability, he's no doubtedly an NBA caliber playmaker. That just is what it is. Yuki Kawamura has that. And you look at him in the pick and roll. You look at him in transition. Like, what he has there is not anything to shake your head at. Last year, for example, in the G League, Kawamura averaged 7.8 assists per game and only 2.5 turnovers per game. That was for Memphis's G League team. I want that here in Chicago, period. I want that here. Yuki has really, and when you look at Summer League and you talk about players that can be great stories, Yuki Kawamura has a chance to be that. And I know that once the G League season starts, a lot of Bulls fans aren't going to be watching the G League. I watch G League basketball. I watch every single G League game for the Chicago Bulls. I'm a little bit of a fanatic and a crazy person. Yeah, we all knew that already, though. But in watching Yuki play basketball, I just think that he really has shown an ability and shown why he should take one of those two-way spots. Right now, our two-way contracts are Emmanuel Miller and Jameer Young. The 55th overall pick, Lachlan Albrecht, as well, has one of those spots. To me, Jameer Young is the one that I'm looking at. I'm saying, hey, peace. Because what Jameer Young brings, we already have, for example, like Javon Freeman Liberty, who's on a G League contract and is not on a two-way. I think you have that. Like, Jameer Young has started all 3 of the Chicago Bulls Summer League games. but he played fewer minutes than Yuki Kawamura. And so he's averaged 7.7 points, 2 rebounds, 5.3 assists per game, and shooting 39% from the field. But I think when you look at Jameer Young, who was great for the G League, our G League team last year, it was great to see him. He averaged 21 points, 4.5 rebounds, 7.1 assists, and 1.9 steals per game. Jameer Young in the G League last year was balling out. But to me, I think for a team that especially if you're talking about simulating the type of style that the Chicago Bulls want to run in their main roster, Yuki Kawamura can do that for the Chicago Bulls in G League. So to me, I'm saying this: Yuki Kawamura, you're getting a two-way deal if you ask me. I think that it's time for that. But you guys can let me know how you feel on that down below. That's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following us at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.